Hello. So, surprise, baby number 3 is here, and this week we are going to share our birth story.
Yeah, you may have followed along for some of our pregnancy episodes, and also hopefully you're subscribers. We've got a ton of newborn care content coming your guys' way in the weeks ahead.
If this is your first time meeting us, I'm Sarah. I'm a board-certified OBGYN and mom to 3.
Yeah, I'm Kurt. I'm a board-certified pediatrician and dad of those same 3.
And we are the Doctors Bjorkman.
Okay, well, the big kids are sleeping. Baby Hank decided he needed someone to give him some attention, so
He's held for his nap, yeah.
He's going to be held for this episode. Maybe he's going to stay sleeping for us. We'll see. But anyway, so kind of
Birth number 3.
Yeah.
I think we should preface this. We have had 3 wonderful birth experiences. Not everybody does, and so we are just very thankful that is how it's gone for us. If it is not how it's gone for you, and there's some birth trauma for you to work through, definitely our hearts go out to you and say, seek help, debriefing with your OB, all of those things. So anyway, this guy's arrival was a 39-week elective induction. We have an episode all about induction of labor, pros, cons, different things. I love it. I was induced with my first. Number 2 was kind of a membrane stripping that kicked me into labor. And number 3 was again, hey, 39 weeks, let's get this show on the road. Today is induction day. We're going to get the baby. Hopefully he cooperates and comes today. We will just see. I put on my nursing bra this morning and said, cheers to a year of snap-on weird bras. I am supposed to be in the car 5 minutes ago, so heading to do that. Hopefully things go relatively smoothly. I'm 2 to 3 centimeters dilated already, so probably will break my water and go from there. So, how did that all start? I am what you call a multip. So I've had babies before, and something that often will kick a multip into labor is breaking their water, or AROM, artificial rupture of membranes. So my OB, who also happens to be one of my dearest friends, broke my water. We just wait here. So you're supposed to. Water is officially broken. And then we said, hey, well, let's kind of see what happens. Maybe that'll kick you into labor, maybe not. And so broke my water, kind of hung out for 3 hours or so and was having contractions, but not feeling them. And so we said, well, let's really get this party started.
Yeah.
Let's start some Pitocin. Let's get those contractions really consistent, start banging them out. And so that we started the Pitocin. All right, the recap on the day so far. Water broke around 9:30 this morning, and then started Pitocin around 12:30, just kind of contracting away. Baby's happy. Once an LB, always an LB, just watching the strip. Hoping to get a little uncomfy here soon. Getting an epidural. So started Pitocin around 12:30, and then was like starting to feel contractions, starting to be a little uncomfortable, and knowing, again, the more medicalized than some people really wanted all the medical, aka I want to have an epidural and I want to have a baby were my goals for the day. I got my epidural around 2:30.
Yeah, even you got checked right before that, right?
Oh, yeah. When she broke my water, I was like 4
centimeters.
4 centimeters dilated.
So not yet active labor.
Nope, 50% effaced or so, meaning my cervix hadn't really thinned out yet. And I was just that's where I was living because I'd had a baby before. So I didn't get checked before I got my epidural, actually. Okay. No, that was when she broke my water, and I hadn't been contracting uncomfortably. There wasn't really a reason to say, hey, we need to check your cervix. None of us were worried I was about to have a baby. Had plenty of time to get an epidural. So Epidural is officially in, as is Orange Popsicle number 2. The good drugs.
We've done an episode about epidurals and pain control in pregnancy too. Is there a time, like, would there have been anything that, like, oh, this is a reason you couldn't get an epidural at that time? Or was there, like, any reason the thought process was just, like, you were uncomfortable, you knew you wanted it on board.
Yes.
Let's get it before you're fully dilated and then competing.
Too late,
having
yeah.
the anesthesia's arrival competing with Hank's arrival.
Correct.
Okay.
So there are certain, like, medical contraindications to having an epidural, but the thing, once you get an epidural, you can't get up and move around.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of confined to the bed. So lots of people want to labor. They want to bounce on a ball. They want to walk around. That's, like, if being mobile is something that is important to you, then you don't want to get an epidural super early. You want to just kind of labor. So got my epidural, 3-ish o'clock, and then my OB came over, got done with her day in the clinic at about 4 and checked me again. And I was 590, baby was at 0 station. So what she described to me was, she's like, okay, well, now you have this laboring cervix. It does feel like you're finally getting into labor. Your cervix is thinned out. You're having 3 to 4 contractions in 10 minutes. Like, we're getting where we want to.
Sorry for all the Hank background noise.
Yeah. So then you guys, like, we're going to go get a snack. It was getting to be dinner time, and the nurse...
We're like, yeah, we don't want to go get food.
Well, the nurse...
I
I got on a peanut ball for a little bit.
Because there's a lot, even though you had an epidural, there's a lot that you, the laboring mom, can work with the labor nurse to help position baby, help things come through the pelvis.
Yep. So a peanut ball is kind of like a bouncy ball, like one of those labor balls or workout balls, but it's shaped kind of like a peanut. So there's like a big end, narrow, and then a big end. And you kind of put one leg up over it to try to open your pelvis, make some room for baby. So
and there's like different positioning, like whether you're like side lying with that or whether you're like on all fours and things like that, all like sorts of things you can do in the bed to help baby come down.
Indeed. So, and a great labor nurse really will help you through that if you have an epidural or if you don't. So did the peanut ball, and really the contractions were really, we were feeling it then, and I'm pushing my button for my epidural when I could. And I could just tell I started feeling so much pressure that wasn't staying with every contraction, but during the contraction, I just feel this pressure.
What do you mean by pressure? Like where and
pressure in your vagina. Like there's a baby sitting in your vagina.
Okay. I don't
like
know
rectal pressure, baby, you're just like, oh, okay, that's there.
Okay.
And so they were gonna go like get a snack, and I said, well, hold on one second. Let me just have my OB check me. I think we're gonna end this. Like I think it's time. And
we ordered the food anyway.
Yeah, they did.
We're like, let's have it. We're going to have a baby.
Right.
Let's have the food here, so as soon as the baby's out, we can all eat together.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Yes. So, OB checked me. I was fully, hooray. We all said, hey, let's have a baby.
Yeah. Indian was on its way.
Yes, that's what our post-birth meal was chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
So, anywho...
They
got everything set up.
Yep. And I think it's one of those things about like even like, hey, we've done this a few times now. Like, what are the big changes? What are the things we've learned from the first couple times? I think part of it is both of us have been in lots of births from being pediatrician and OB side of things, and so kind of knew what to expect from that, even with the first one. But the magic of your own child being born like doesn't go away, right? Like I can just think, I don't know, I've got a new baby in my arms and just like giddy about it because he's happy. But like even I will say like something about this time, I felt way more anxious with this birth than with the prior two. And I don't know if it's just because the first two went well or like, you know, we've been...
As OBs, we joke, the third baby sometimes messes around. Like first baby, you know, you're going to usually push longer. Their labors usually take longer. Second baby, we have this never turn your back on a mall-tip, meaning second baby can just come flying out. So
and
don't
like by the time you're like going to have more than that, just like the chances that you have something go wrong in a birth,
Lots
just like
of bad things can happen.
is not zero. And so for whatever reason, I was just more anxious, and so like there was still this like angst of the day.
Yeah.
And so I was very excited when the time to finally push came.
Yes, totally. I remember when she checked me after, I'd been on PIT for 3 hours and I'd been 4 a.m, and then she checked me and I was 5. I was like, ugh, I wish I was a little farther along here. Like,
but then you
I
just
was a
made
little nervous.
progress
But then
so fast.
got up on that peanut ball, and an hour later I was fully. So
Yeah, you
finally,
went from
I finally
5
kicked
to 10,
in an hour and a half.
which
It was
is like because you've had
active
multiple
labor.
babies. Yeah.
Yep. I just hadn't been in labor yet. So pushing is a fun time. No matter how good your epidural is, often you're going to feel a little bit more during pushing. And so...
Do you have any tips about, like, what are the, like, things that you're doing to try to make a good push, right? Like, your first push, I remember, the OB was like, oh, that was not a good push. That, like, happened this time, it happened the time before. Like, what are the things that, like, that make the difference between a good push and a not good push?
You really you're like bearing down and pushing that baby out. My OB and many will try and kind of guide you and help you with where you want to put that
Like
pressure.
they're touching you to like
Often
like
on your perineum sometimes will help. And just there is a whole thing about closed glottis pushing, so like holding your breath to push versus not holding your breath to push. I personally I like
you kind of do both.
A little bit of both. I do like to take a big deep breath, bear down Valsalva.
Hold
like,
to start,
yep,
and then it seems like you blow
I'd
out.
kind of blow out at the end.
Okay.
And so the first push, even as an OB, took me a second to get it right. My OB's like, that wasn't a push, try again.
Yeah.
And so...
And you're timing these with contractions.
Yep, with contractions. So if your epidural's really good and you can't really feel them, your team will help you. They can see the contractions on the monitor. Sometimes they'll reach up and feel your belly to feel that hard contraction. And then usually over each contraction, they'll have you try to push about 3 times. So little Hank here took 3 contractions to push out.
And so and then the other thing, they had me hold a leg.
Yep.
What does that do? Like, how does that help? Like, by the time,
Yep.
like, hey, pull up your leg. Like, Kurt, hold the leg.
Yep, you're just trying to open that pelvis up to make room for baby to come out and pulling that tailbone down and your pelvis open. There's, again, different pushing positions, pushing on hands and knees, pushing with knees closed, different things you can do depending on the situation you are in for delivery. I have been very comfortable with my epidurals pushing on my back. Haven't had issues, but that isn't true for everyone. And so know that there are different tips and tricks and positions and things you can do. Sometimes you get a towel bar to like pull on a towel. Just lots of different things. We should do a video on like different pushing positions at some point.
And then the nurse was so awesome to let me, like, as dad, to get to be right there. Like, I just like love like being at your shoulders, being there with you, and then ready to meet our new child. It's so fun because then comes the time when you're crowning and the baby's coming out.
Yes, which was real cute this time. Baby's coming out, and both Kurt and I think my OB are like, oh, this one's a lot bigger.
Yeah, like the head just started to come out, and like it was clear that Hank was bigger than his siblings had been on their birthdays.
And I was just like, thank you for sharing that right at this moment. That is perfect. And I think I said, like, I could tell.
I think it's starting. It is. Yeah. Give a nice deep cleansing breath in and out. Try to get a really big deep breath and hold it at the top when you push. There you go. There you go. Sarah. Go, go, go. Yep.
Good job.
Yep. Beautiful.
You got this, Mama.
A little bit more. Yep. 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 A little bit more. A little bit more. You got it. You got it. You got it. A little bit more. Another little push. Just those little pushes for me. Yep. Perfect. A little bit more. A little bit more.
Burn it a little bit. All right, buddy. Oh, we got this little man.
Yeah, he's right here.
Okay,
Just the tiniest bit more. Little. Okay, breathe.
Oh, yeah.
She can feel it.
I can tell. I can tell.
Oh, little muffin.
Happy
birthday, little Hankaroo. All right, big deep breath.
There we go.
A little bit more. We're good.
I just wanted to put it down a little bit.
out. He's just being stubborn here. One more big push. Good. We said this was the biggest one.
Yep. Come on, buddy.
He's fine. That's just his posterior.
Okay.
Just keeping the bottom safe.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You see him?
Hi, Auntie Mel.
He is bigger. Hi, buddy. Oh my gosh. Oh, wake up, honey.
Hi. Hi, little squawker.
Take a breath.
Hi. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Come on, bud. There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Hi, baby. Oh.
Couple more.
Oh, yell it out.
Always noticed the ear well.
Oh.
Hi, handsome. Welcome.
So pushed him out over those 3 contractions.
Yeah, and your OB did a really nice job of saying like, oh, like he's mostly out, he's safe. Like let's take our time so that we limit
Yes.
tearing, those kind of things.
Yep, really slow. So at the beginning, when you're really trying to move that baby down under your pubic bone to get him to stay there in the vagina, you want those big pushes as hard as you can push, really trying to hold him down. At the end, when you're crowning, it's nice to do a more slow, controlled little pushes. Your OB will sometimes ask for little pushes so that they can try to keep arms, legs, everything together from flailing about as they make their exit to try to help prevent tears and things like that. Sometimes you just can't.
There's definitely times
Tears
where it's
happen.
an urgent situation that you need to
Things
get
happen
baby out.
quickly.
Yeah.
It's super intense pain, ring of fire at the end. Sometimes you can't slow down. You're like, this needs to end. The vagina is amazing. It heals amazingly well. Your OB will put it all back together. It will be fine. So anyway, over 3 contractions, we pushed this little big guy out.
I did nothing.
And
she pushed.
it was beautiful. And
then the baby comes out, and all the things happen of like
Yes.
baby to chest, skin to skin if you can.
Yeah.
We always get asked about like delayed cord clamping, which is standard in the U.S. to like
Yep.
wait at least 60 seconds
Or
to
so.
allow some extra blood from the placenta to make it to baby.
Yep.
There's actually a thing of too much time. Like there's definitely practices. Some people don't disconnect the placenta and can lead to baby having way too much blood in their system. That can be a risk of clots and things. So 60 seconds
there's
seems
a balance.
to
Yeah.
balance that out. And then, like one of the things that they may ask partners to do is to cut the cord, which I got to do again this time, which is just fun. Like it's the least, like you're literally, it's like cutting anything with scissors.
Or ribbon,
Yep.
yes.
And just to say like, oh, this baby's in the world. He's now not just yours, but ours.
Yep.
And like all of the little baby stuff, drying and stimulating to get him going, to take his first breath, to hear that first cry, and then just lots of snuggles directly to the boob.
I mean, it's so fun. Like, our birthdays have been such joyful, special times for our families. Like, my sister was there this time. My OB is a dear friend. So it's to have a team of people that you love and trust. It can be a very, very special time. Then the only real surprise with Hank was how big he was.
Yeah.
So
All of our other babies were right around 7 pounds.
Barely,
7 pounds, 1 ounce, 6 pounds, 11 ounces.
yep,
Right? Something
Cease
like
was 7'1" and Bo was 6'11" or
Yeah.
something. And
then this guy is 8'14".
I said, "Did you do that right? Are you sure?" And in fact, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, 4 kilo baby is not small.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my!" So
And at 39 and 0, so like he wasn't even fully to 40 weeks. So.
correct. So, and we say, half pound a week ish for those babes at the end. So he could have been bigger if we'd have waited for him.
But you had passed your glucose test. There was
Yep.
no thoughts that diabetes played a role in this.
No, this
Okay,
one was
just
just
a-
built a little bigger.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
mean, great. I'm glad he's here, he's safe, he's healthy. But it was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And then Yeah, and then like all of the little baby stuff happened. I will say, hopefully you're subscribed. We were able to shoot a bunch of stuff in the hospital and have been able to do a bunch even the first week or so home.
Yeah.
Like really trying to get a lot of good content about
Newborn
care,
Yeah.
newborn child care, postpartum mom care, etc. And
Yeah.
so like something that we're really hoping to do now that we've done this 3 times, sharing a lot of those tips and tricks from
Yep.
pediatrician, OBGYN parents
Yeah.
for childcare, because we know you guys have asked about that with past pregnancies. And
Yep.
I think,
So now maybe you're gonna have it together to do some of that.
yeah.
TBD.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for joining on our journey.
Yes.
Sarah's amazing. If you haven't picked up on that, like just
hardly.
like every time we like have watched our children be born, like just to be like, wow, like how cool is it that you grew this human in your body and then
Indeed.
pushed him out and sometimes helped pull them out too. So
Yeah, no, it was so, and it's funny. We sort of knew he was going to be bigger. When I was about 35 weeks, I said to Kurt, I said, "Do you think I'm bigger this time?" And he said,
don't ever ask your husband
He was
that.
like,
There's no right answer.
"What do you want me to say to that?"
I'm like, no, the baby's bigger. Like I can
He
tell the
did.
baby's bigger.
He said, "I can tell the baby's bigger."
Yeah.
Because I felt like at 35 weeks I was where I had been with Cease and Bo at the end. And so I was like, I do think he's bigger. So anyway, he's bigger. He's a little happier, it seems, as a baby.
Yeah. I feel like something that we'll go through this in our other episodes, but like the first 24 hours with him has been easier in terms of a lot of it. I think has been like, I don't know how much of it is him, how much of it is you and your experience of just breastfeeding, like working through like little troubles with the latch and
Right.
doing those things. Do you feel like the newborn period has been different this time?
It has been different in that one, I know breastfeeding has sucked less. If you go back to like first pregnancy videos, all our breastfeeding stuff, breastfeeding was incredibly, incredibly difficult. I didn't know what I was doing. Cease had a terrible latch and a tongue tie and all these things. I've just been able to help him better because I have some experience of breastfeeding 2 kids prior, and he's just better at it. Doesn't have a tongue tie, is just doing better. So those 2 things. Also, postpartum is just a whole thing that I was prepared for. I have a girlfriend who's like about to have a baby, and I just said to her the other day, I don't know if I've prepared you adequately for how much it like sucks a little bit, the postpartum period, because you're exhausted, you're bleeding, you're sore, you feel like your vagina might fall out, your nipples hurt, like it's a thing. And it's wonderful because you also have this little baby and it's great, and it's just this short season and it does get better. I feel like I usually say around that 2-3 week mark, I sort of start feeling like myself again, like a little.
It's also the time the baby starts to wake
Up, yes. But like right now, like I wake up drenched in milk and have this baby who like sleeps or doesn't, and you're just trying to adjust to your new normal. So that postpartum period is really a unique challenge, which at least now we know that like the train that is coming for you, and you can like prepare for that a little better. So it's magical. It's hard.
Yeah, if you're a partner watching this, just like listen to those things. You're like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna put on my big boy boots and like step up for like,
Indeed.
Whether it's you've got 2 other toddlers running around the house like we do, or all of the things, like lean on your support system.
Yes.
Like, grandma and grandpa came down and helped for the first couple days, and like, we've been
Yep.
blessed to have great childcare around,
Yep.
and so
Yep.
like all of those things to say, hey, how do you make sure the new mom is fed and hydrated, and that like the rest of the house is running while they're just like doing all of these things, adjusting to like the marathon your body just went through, like not having a stable pelvic floor, and then having to like support a new life form.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes I'm walking around, I'm like, ooh, feels like the pelvis is still a little loosey-goosey. Like, it's hard to get up and down. I don't want to lift my 40-pound toddler, so, like, a lot. So it is hard. There are physical adjustments you have to make. And sometimes I'm sitting there holding that sweet little baby, watching Kurt with the 2 feral toddlers, and I do just have a little chuckle because he's also working hard, too. So
different. Everything's relative and different hard. So, and just realize like support each other, right? Like, like questions for each other. Like, hey, how are you doing? Check in frequently.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway.
Thanks for being here.
Well,
Subscribe. We've got more good stuff coming for you. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, leave them in
we try to get
comments
to a
well.
lot of them, and even if not, we like
Yeah.
see them, and it factors into the content that we put out
We
coming
do.
up. So
Yes.
thank you. See you guys.
We're doctors.
But not your doctors.
Anything we've said in this video is for education or entertainment purposes only.
It is not medical advice.
Any specific medical questions you have should be directed to your provider.